My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content. Hey everybody, welcome back. Another great episode. Today, zooming in from Southern Oregon, we've got Emilio Chavez, who is a relatively new real estate investor, but he has hit it hard. He's taken massive action. He got into the whole creative real estate investing space. He's gone single family homes, multifamily properties. Now he's getting into doing buy, fix, and sell flips. So you name it, well, not you name it, but he's done a lot in the 2 years that he's been an active real estate investor. So, Emilio, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Hey, Dave, thank you so much. Pleasure to be here.
So, what was it that sparked you to get into real estate in the first place?
Well, what it really was, I would always ask people, like that I noticed that were working from home or that had, good lives. I would ask them what they do, and it would always come back to real estate investing, right? My father also, several years back, back in the early 2000s, he bought a duplex with an uncle of mine,
Yeah.
right? And it was for no reasons to try to do like any house hacking or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But he got the duplex with my uncle. My uncle left, and he ended up renting the other side.
Mm.
So that was my first kind of look into how you could live in one side of the duplex and rent the other one. And unfortunately, in '08, he lost that duplex,
Oh, yeah,
but
everything hit the fan in '08, didn't it?
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not really sure. I was still young when that when that happened, but um, I would only assume he probably leveraged that duplex for another property, and
Mm.
and nobody knew the crash was going to happen.
No, it was
And
go times. That's for
go,
sure.
go, go. So that was kind of my first little glimpse, and just, you know, every time I looked at people that, were financially free, it was all related to real estate.
So, what did you do to jump into the game? What did that look like for you, Emilio?
So about 2 years ago, funny enough, my brother was on TikTok,
Yeah.
right? He opens his app and he's scrolling, he's showing me these videos, and I hear this guy, do you want to get into real estate with little to no money? And I'm like, dude, wait, go back, go back. And this guy was talking about wholesaling. Never heard about it, right? I've always
Yeah.
like had the thought of getting into real estate, but I always thought, man, you need to get money. You have to have money to get in real estate. And, I didn't come from family of money or anything. So I just figured one day. Well, I heard about this thing called wholesaling, and I ended up just looking on Facebook for any local real estate meetups.
Okay, smart. Yeah.
And I went to the first one here, and people asked me, hey, welcome, you're new. I'm like, yeah. Does anybody here do wholesaling? And they pointed me to a gentleman named Mike Whitehead, and he's like, that's the guy, right? So I went and talked to him, and he's like, oh, you were interested in wholesaling? Yeah, let me show you the ropes. And that's
Nice.
kind of how I first got introduced into what actual wholesaling was, and kind of started my journey that way.
Okay, well, that opens up another question because I think if I recall in the information you filled out ahead of the show, you mentioned that you tried wholesaling, but it didn't work out for you. So it looks great. One of those things looks great on YouTube, might not be so great in real life. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I mean, I was in it, right? So he tells me like, man, if you're real serious, we got to go and get these postcards. And you got to send so many postcards,
Mhm.
and that's how we're going to get our first deal. And I was
Oh, so he hadn't done a deal yet.
well, he'd done deals, but I come to find out that he hadn't done deals in a couple years,
Uh,
let alone here in the state of Oregon, right? I mean,
oh, so he's coming from somewhere else.
yeah, he was
Not in,
killing in other states, but I tell people I'm so appreciative that he got me started because it unlocked new doors. But Yeah, I went and I spent like $5,000 on
Oof.
postcards. I had to go get a credit card. I've never even had one.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Never had a
Yeah.
credit card. I went and applied for one, maxed it out. I sent out these postcards, and then the inbound calls start coming in. And I'm like, oh wow,
It's working.
it's working. Well, give or take, this is back in 2020, right?
Oh,
Or
right in the
no,
middle of
20,
pandemic. Yep.
yeah, no, this was after actually. No, this was like 2022 when the
Okay.
market was hot. Like
Oh yeah.
you could sell your
Mark.
house for double the price in 2 days, right?
Yeah.
Nobody was
Multiple offers, everything. Hard to find
yeah, no
motivated
one's gonna
sellers.
wholesale their house at a 50% discount. So I'm getting beat up left and right on these calls. And you know, I never got a deal from those postcards, but it opened up so many doors for me to go learn and figure out, okay, what did I do wrong and what could I do right?
So
And
where did that lead you to? What came next after you've maxed out your credit card on postcards? Got a bunch of calls. You got beat up for trying to go in low ball.
oh yeah.
What- So then
Well,
what?
it led me to telling people like, one of the things that gentleman Mike, what he taught me was from now on, you're no longer Emilio, the pallet truck driver. You're Emilio, the real estate investor. He's like, even though you've never done the deal, you're Emilio, the real estate investor. So anytime
Mm.
people would talk to me, I'd be like, oh, hi, I'm Emilio. I'm a real estate investor. This is what I do. Well, it led to me talking to one of my neighbors when I lived in an apartment. And those neighbors had an Airbnb that wasn't performing in Florida,
Ah,
right? And I told them, hey, you guys should get a realtor. This is the hot market. But they're like, oh, I don't want to deal with no realtors. We just want to get this thing sold quickly because they wanted to go sailing from like
oh,
coast to coast. They wanted to get out of the state. And I'm like, you got it. So, all those failed callings and postcards led to me, actually acquiring the skill to talk to people and, acquire that first property, which ended up being my first deal. And actually
nice.
how I met my future partners too, because I went on Facebook and I'm like, hey, I got this deal in Florida and I have no idea what I'm doing. And my now partner from like now that's been 2 years, he reaches out to me. He's like, let's jump on a Zoom. I'll help you.
Nice. Nice. Well, hey, I love the fact that you didn't fake it till you make it and you asked for help and lo and behold, it showed up for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got into that first deal, kind of stumbled into it. Walk me through the following, not every single deal, but what did you do after that? You were focusing on
So
these kind of creative type deals?
yeah, so what ended up happening after that is the partner that I met, Angel Bodon, he was actually one of your guest speakers too.
Mhm.
He brings me under his wing and he starts telling me about all these creative um, real estate ideas, right? You can do, subject to seller finance. And I'm just like in awe. And he's showing me all these things because what I ended up doing is I ended up providing value to him by providing, things that he couldn't acquire and giving him time to call. And so what ended up happening was we had another property come up, and it actually ended up being a house in Lancaster, South Carolina, and it was a foreclosure home.
Mhm.
And the homeowner ended up leaving. She left the state. She didn't want to be part, like it was a rental for her. And, we ended up just calling her and she was basically saying she was done with the property.
She
Nobody
didn't
would
care
be
what
out there buying.
happened to him.
Yeah. She's
She
like, she
walked
didn't
away.
care.
Yeah.
And, we tell her, well, what if we took over your mortgage payment, right? We leave the mortgage in your name. We take over the payments. You title the property back to us. We put some money in your pocket. You walk away from all these problems
And we save your credit too.
and we save your credit. Yeah, her credits. Whew, we've been paying that loan now for the last 2 years. So her credit score is going up. She's got good loan balance.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what led to me learning about buying properties, subject to.
Very nice. So how many of those subject to deals did you do approximately? And why did you decide more recently to kind of switch into fix and flips?
Fix and flips. Yeah. So, I mean, approximately it's in the past 2 years, boy, it's been, I know it's been about 20 plus deals, and
Wow.
it's
Yeah.
been a mix of a couple that we kept ourselves,
Mhm.
and a mix of wholesaling to, one of our specialties was getting homes subject to and selling them to traditional home buyers, people
Yeah.
that were going to live in the house, right? So we were keeping the interest rates, or bumping them up a little bit to make
You,
some
you,
money on cash
you do a
flow.
wraparound
Yep,
mortgage type
a
thing. Yeah.
wraparound mortgage. Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. And we were selling that to them, and we did several of those. And what kind of led to now going back to the cash and fix and flips was, well, everyone wants to do a lot of creative deals, right? So you have all these people that are pitching creative deals, especially in Florida.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people are like, I'm over these creative.
Yeah,
I just
yeah,
want to
because
sell my
I
house
see
cash.
you got the peace side on your hat, so
Yeah, yeah.
that's the pace more. Well, he's got like a gazillion students, so yeah,
Yeah, he's got several students, and he's always teaching on his creative page, and a lot of people watch his YouTube content, right? And they're like, "Oh, we want to buy your house, seller finance, subject to." Well, what ended up happening is we can go in there and get a really good price on a house because we'll give them cash,
Mhm.
right? So a lot of times newer investors, or the people that they've made it pretty far, like, well, I don't need to deal with cash because I'm getting a lot of creative deals. So we're kind of slim pickings, we're picking off all the cash deals that everyone are passing on because it's not creative,
Ah, counterintuitive. So
right?
kind of, yeah, yeah. Okay, so but that brings up a new kind of thing that you have to do. Now you have to come up with the cash to
Yep.
buy these properties quickly, and I'm guessing you probably don't want to deal with the banks. So you're going in all cash on these deals, correct? To get them at a good price.
Yep, yep. So the way we're going about it now is we're using hard money loans, right? We're using hard money loans or private money loans to acquire these properties cash. And essentially what we do
Well,
is,
first of all, Emilio,
yeah,
maybe explain to folks who aren't familiar what's the difference between a hard money
hard.
loan and a private money loan.
Oh, for sure. Thank you. Thank you. So, the easiest difference is a hard money loan is somebody who is always going to lend on what they call first position loans, right? And you've got first liens. And what that means is when you get like a traditional home and you get a mortgage, a traditional mortgage, they put a lien, the bank puts a lien against your house. So that way, if you decide, hey, I'm not going to pay for this anymore, well, then they can, foreclose and get their money back.
Yeah, they've
And
got a first position mortgage
yeah,
on
a
the
first
property. Yeah,
position mortgage.
yeah.
So a hard money loan is always going to be a first position mortgage, essentially.
But it's
And
not through a bank, correct?
it's
It's
not through
usually
a
through
bank.
the
No,
mortgage.
it's from people that have acquired the skills, right, to just broker people's money, right? So essentially, I could be a hard money lender because I know a bunch of other lenders that were willing to lend their money at, let's say, 10 to 12% interest. And the way I make money is when the lenders say, well, it's going to cost you 2 points, which essentially is like 2% on the money you borrow. So if you borrow, $100,000, well, I'm going to charge you 2% or 2 points
Yeah.
on that $100,000, and that's how I make my little money in between.
Or some hard money lenders, they borrow the money from private money lenders at 10%.
Yep,
They get points and then they're lending it out at
at
15%. So
15%.
they're making the spread there. So
Yeah, so they'll make the spread on that
they double
percentage.
dip.
Oh man, yeah, the smart ones are doing that. Right?
Yeah.
Um,
So you've been working with, so are you saying you are a hard money lender or you're
no, I'm
borrowing money from
I'm
hard money
borrowing. Yep.
lenders? Ah,
We are borrowing from these hard money lenders, right?
yeah.
But then, right, you got costs that are coming along with these hard money lenders. So
Yeah.
you've got, some of them they'll lend at, 90%. So you get your property, and they're like, okay, you want 300,000? Well, we'll give you 90%. So you got to come up with that 10%,
Yeah. You got to
right?
come up with 30 grand cash. We'll give you a $270,000 loan. We'll
Yep,
charge you 2 points on that $270,000
exactly.
plus whatever 15% or whatever they're charging
All the
for it.
fees and everything. So then you start thinking, well, how am I gonna? I don't have money to buy this house, let alone to put down on this hard money loan.
Yeah.
So what we use is we private money loans, right? So just private money loans are just your average, like anybody that has some funds that they would like to invest into properties. And the difference a lot of times is one, a private money loan can be they'll be on second lien. So they will be behind, right, the first mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll be in a second lien position, and it's typically their own money, right? They're lending you their own cash. So
Yeah.
you can get interest rates between, 8% to 12% and no points, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they'll charge no points, no upfront fees. It's
Yeah.
just if you need the $35,000, they'll be like, okay, here's the $35,000. I want, 12% interest. And the difference, another difference between hard money or the difference between a traditional mortgage and these private money is that they're interest only loans, right?
Ah,
So essentially, was a traditional home mortgage. When you make a payment, you're making payments towards the principal
and
and
the
the
interest.
interest, right? So you're
Yeah.
paying down that mortgage. Well, with
Okay.
these hard money loans and these private money loans, it's all interest only.
So if
So
I'm under, let me repeat back to you to make sure I
yeah,
understand what you're doing. So now you're starting to do these all cash deals where you're buying the property outright,
hmm,
getting a good price on it. All the other creative guys are passing it by because they just want creative deals.
exactly. Yep.
The challenge is coming up with the cash to buy them all cash. So the solution is that you're using a combination, it sounds like, of hard money lenders who will loan you up to whatever 90% of what you're paying for the property,
Hmm.
plus fees, plus points, plus yada yada. And then if you have to come up with the example you had there, $35,000 for between the down payment and the fees, you'll borrow that from a private individual, a private lender,
Exactly.
and so you can get into the property, none of your own money out of pocket. The hard money lender is covered with the first position mortgage on the property. Your private money lender is covered with a second position mortgage on the property, but you only have to pay interest on those loans. So you guys can go in, do the work, quickly turn this property around,
Yep.
2, 3, 4 months, whatever that looks like, fix it up, sell it, and then cash out, pay off your lenders, and the leftovers are your profit. Am I
Exactly.
understanding
That's
that properly?
perfect.
Yeah.
Yep. So, essentially, exactly like you said, Dave, we're getting into these properties, no money out of pocket, which I thought it was all a scam when people would say that, but it just took a lot of learning lessons,
Yeah.
right? And it's not, I wouldn't say it's easy. There's a lot of risk, right? Not only do you have a hard money loan where you're using someone's brokered money, but you're also utilizing a private money. This is an individual who, is trusting you, right? They're
Yeah.
trusting you with their funds. And everybody knows investing is, it's investing, right? Real estate investing. And sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but you try to mitigate that loss, right, as much as you can by getting the right teams and running your numbers more than once. But essentially, yeah, you get into these deals, no money out of pocket.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then there's also risk for you, Emilio, because typically, and correct me if I'm wrong, yeah, it's interest only on these loans, but is it a balloon payment at the end of the deal, or do you have to be making payments as you're renovating the properties?
So with the first lien, the hard money, they typically want their monthly payments,
Yeah.
right? Which again comes from the second private money lender, right? They'll cover the closing, the holding costs and all that. So they will acquire a monthly payment. But sometimes, depending on your private money lender, some will just defer the payments, right? And that's typically what I do when I work with our lenders.
Mhm.
I don't give them a monthly payment. We just bundle it all up and pay them their interest plus their initial investment in, 2 to 3 months when
Yeah.
the
When the
project's
deal's all
finished
done.
and sold. Yep.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. So you give them what's called a balloon payment at the
Yeah, a
end.
balloon payment. Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Very, very cool. So, yeah, I like what you're doing. So what do you like about doing these fix and flip deals? What do you like better about that versus what you're doing with in the creative space?
So, I mean, it's a lot easier. You
Really?
know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll admit that sometimes it's a lot easier to just, buy them cash, wholesale or not wholesale them, but sell them retail,
Yeah.
right? Fix and flip them. You can, everybody understands them, right? The agents, if you're working with agents, they understand cash, they understand all that. Um, Sometimes it's difficult doing creative deals
Yeah.
because a lot of times even agents themselves they never heard of the term
Oh,
subject
and
to.
most agents are scared of that because they're worried
Very
about
much,
how they're going to get their commission.
very much so. Yep. So you're trying to push these ideas of seller finance subject to transactions, and a lot of them are like, oh, just give us a cash offer, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, if you got the right team, it runs smooth, right? So, the properties that I own as rentals, there none of them have been purchased with traditional mortgage. They've either been seller finance or subject to. So I would say when it comes to buy and holds, it's easier, right, to work that aspect. But when it comes to these fix and flips, just buying them outright with cash, flipping them, and then turning around and doing it again and again. It's just easier. Everybody understands cash.
Yeah, for sure. So as we're wrapping up here, Emilio, one thing when I was kind of checking things out with you that I admire a lot is you're relatively new as a real estate investor. However, you've done a good chunk of deals in a short period of time. So you're newer, but you're quite experienced. And you've started your own Facebook group where you're kind of networking with other people and connecting and educating and do all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Walk me through why you decided to start the group and what benefit it's created for you.
Oh, for sure. The reason I created the group is because from a very starting, like from the very beginning of this real estate journey, I realized that I need help, right? This is not a one person show business. Um, the more you network, the more you'll be able to learn and the faster you'll cut your learning curve, right?
Mm.
And so I've always realized that if I wanted to learn, like say how to fix and flip properties, I got to connect with people who are fix and flipping properties and just provide them value, right? See, like, hey, what do you guys need? What do y'all want? And then they'll will show me how they're fix and flipping properties, and then I'll just join and cut the learning curve.
Yeah,
And
smart.
so for me, being able to do that, I love showing people that it's not about how much you know, but who you know, right? And a lot of people reference the book, who not how,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, well, I'll be honest, I've never read the book, but
The
I
title kind
still,
of says it all, right?
yeah, exactly, who not
Yeah.
how. And I still have my W2 job. I still work, 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. I got my wife and my son, so limited time. And so from that, like with that kind of perspective on how to get into this real estate journey with limited time, it forced me to just connect with as many people as I can. So that way I can, find people who are willing to cold call, find people who will call our leads, right? connecting with lenders who want to lend their funds and get into real estate investing that way. And so I created the group so that way people can ask questions and, instead of, getting into those, hey, like, I'll come in and I'll charge you this and we'll learn. No, it's all free. You jump in, we hop on some Zooms and we just all learn together as a group.
I like that. Awesome, Emilio. So if people want to find out more and connect with you, what should they do?
Go on my Instagram. My Instagram, you can message me and I'll get back to you. And yeah, I respond to everybody on my Instagram.
So what is your Instagram handle?
Yeah, so it's my first and last name. So Emilio Chavez, REI. So Emilio Chavez, REI. Pretty simple.
That's pretty simple. I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome, Emilio. Well, keep up the good work. I love how you are so persistent. I love how you've become very efficient with how you do things, balancing working full time, young family, very active real estate investing, and doing stuff with your on a regular basis with your Facebook group. So keep up the good work.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate the time that you've given us and um, on to the next one.
Awesome. All right, everybody, take care. We'll talk to you on the next episode. Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.